Hi, it's Lauren and welcome back to my craft room. Today I have a card featuring the brand new Easy Lights Halo Lights. Did I say that right? Yes. Halo Lights. I have one left because I used one in my card for today. And I know I've already done Easy Lights, but these are brand new and I was super excited to try them. So I'm going to have 4 more light up cards this month for Interactive Element of the Month. And today I created a simple Easter card. I kind of just wanted to play around with the halo light since it's my first time using it. So I didn't do anything too extravagant. I wanted to do like a nice basic clean card. I'm using my Bokeh paper as well as some dies from Whimsy stamps and this cute sentiment light of the world. And I ordered some Whimsy stamps, like interactive stamps. So it says like push here, I think like pull, I'm not sure, but they haven't come yet. So I just use a little kind of star here stamp for my stash just to add in. Ooh, it lights up. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial and you try out these Easy Lights with me. This is going to be an in-process video of me opening them and trying them. So you're going to follow along with my first time experiencing and how to use these lights. And next week I'll have something a little more exciting with them for a hop I'm a part of. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial and I have links down below where you can get your Easy Lights yourself as well as everything else that I've used in this card. Here are all the products that I'm using: the new Savior die set, my circles pierced and stitched, some Bokeh paper, and my Savior stamp set. This is the brand new Pearblossom Halo Lights. They come in a 2-pack and they are within the PC board. And you can pull out that little paper and that will let your battery make contact and now it will function. So I'm going to pop this out of the printed board so that way we just have our little halo light. So you just have to bend it back and forth a little bit to pop it out. It's pretty sturdy so you don't have to worry about breaking anything. I mean, don't go crazy, but it's really sturdy. So now that that's out, I'm going to start figuring out how I want to do a layout. So I wanted my lights to shine behind the crosses, and I thought I could hide it best behind some circle dies. Now I didn't want a big giant circle, so as you can see here, I'm trying to figure out the best way to hide it. So I am going to use some paper. First I thought maybe this glitter paper, but when I set it next to the yellow, I wasn't a huge fan, so I just pulled out some pink paper, and I'm going to use some Kraft cardstock to cut out my crosses. So I'm thinking about my layout, how I want to do this, and I decide to use 2 of my circles to create a circle with a window of this yellow cardstock. So I'm lining those up so that they are centered to each other and using some mint tape to keep it in place. For my crosses, I want to make sure that they are high enough and that will cover the battery part of my halo light. So I am placing it onto my craft paper and using the halo light as a guide and then using some more low tack tape to secure that down to run through my die cut machine. Now that those are cut out, I'm going to work on the background. I want my Bokeh paper to shine through the hole through my halo, so my crosses will be against the Bokeh paper, but I also wanted it to show on the sides, so I am creating a strip of pink paper to hide the rest of this halo. I used my ruler and measured around the halo light to make sure I had enough room for some foam tape before trimming it down. I think I ended up trimming it to 3 inches wide. Now my Bokeh paper I am trimming to 4 by 5.5, so a little bit of the white border will show on the sides of the card. And I'm going to layer them to see how it looks. I like that the Bokeh is shining on the sides and that it will shine through the hole in the center I'm about to make. So I'm putting all my layers together and I'm figuring out where my halo light is going to be on this strip so I can use my smallest circle die that I used on that yellow cardstock to create a hole through the pink cardstock. Of course, it doesn't fit inside of the halo, so I have to kind of puzzle piece my way and make sure that I am lining it up exactly where I want it. So I'm placing my die under the halo light and using my crosses as a guide, I just put on some tape through the light onto the die, make sure I don't bump anything when I remove the halo light, and then use my ruler for good measure no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, and then ran it through my die cut machine. And now it looks centered, and I can layer it with my yellow cardstock here as well as my halo light. Now I was originally planning on putting the crosses with the Kraft on the front, but I kind of like the idea of them popping through my window. So I went ahead and changed that layer up, and I really liked it. Now to add a little bit more to my pink cardstock, because I thought it was a little plain, I am just using some of my Journey Silks and splattering on the white, sparkle, and some pink. And then I wait till it's dry, and it looked still a little too plain for me. So I am using Worn Lipstick Distress Oxide and just bringing in some color along the edges, trying to start off my paper so that way the color isn't too heavy and still has kind of a light effect with the rest of the pastels of this card. I'm going to make sure my workstation is clean, and now I can start assembling. I'm going to use my wet glue to glue on this circle, yellow circle around the circle on the pink paper, and then I am going to glue my crosses on the inside. So I'm going to use my pencil and just make some quick lines of where I need to cut the craft so it will fit behind, and just using my large scissors. It doesn't need to be perfect since it's going to be hidden anyway. Using some wet glue on the bottom of the crosses and layering it through the whole of my pink paper. And then anywhere the crosses touch the circle, the yellow circle, I'm adding some glue to adhere those down. Once that is dry, I'm going to put on some foam tape. I just purchased this Hefty Doodle foam tape from scrapbook.com. I have read that it is an excellent height for shaker cards and for other interactive elements, so I wanted to give it a try. So I am opening it up, but I realized I wanted to put a sentiment, and it's going to be really hard to stamp that sentiment if I don't do it now. So I also got something else that's new, is the Ink on 3 black ink, as well as some other inks. I have heard really great reviews of this ink pad with alcohol markers. It's faster drying and less bleeding, so I'm really excited to try it with coloring. But I really wanted to use it, so I tried it for the sentiment, and I used my Misty just to make sure I had a nice clean stamp and I could stamp it again if needed. But honestly, it was so great on the first stamp. I'm really happy with it for this first attempt at using it. Okay, so now I'm going to start putting the card together. I glued my bokeh paper to my card base using some wet glue. I am using some 1/4 inch tape from scrapbook.com on the back of my halo. I usually fast forward through this part, but I wanted to show you that I applied some strips to the battery portion of the halo light, and then using some smaller strips at 4 different spots behind the halo. I think that this probably wasn't totally necessary, but I wanted to make sure that it was really stuck on there. So now that I have that in place, I peeled off the release paper, and I'm going to use my pink paper as a guide as well as some mint tape. So I'm using some mint tape to hold that halo light onto my pink paper, lining it up where I want it to be centered, and then pressing down. Now my mint tape is not super duper sticky, so it was easy just to pull that right out. Now to adhere the pink paper, I'm using that Hefty Doodle foam, and I am applying it to one side and making sure that it is enough room to put around my halo light. And then I went ahead and went around all 4 sides. And I also cut a couple strips that were smaller than the halo light to put on the top and bottom just to add a little more stability. These won't be showing, but it will add a little more to make sure that my pink paper is stable. So I'm going to pull that release paper. I did notice that it is a little tough. I don't know if it's because I have short nails or if this stuff is just extra sticky, so it works really well. But I pulled off all the release tape except for a couple pieces to make sure I had good placement, and then put that whole thing down. I'm making sure my light is working, everything looks good, and then I'm using this little star stamp just to indicate where the button is. And now that my card is done, I wanted to add some embellishments. I have this really pretty mix from Catherine Pooler that I purchased also from scrapbook.com. And I am just going to be placing some of my favorite colors that I thought would go really well with the bokeh paper and just the overall colors of the card. Then use my jewel picker along with my wet glue to adhere all of those down. And here is a final look at the card. I think it's simple, but still very soft and pretty. And here is what it looks like with the lights turned off, so you can see those lights glowing. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you for going on this little adventure with me as I try these out for the first time. I'm excited to share with you another card next week using these halo lights. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you click like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.